So, hello guys, welcome again. In this podcast, we will explore the human mind, what actually mind is, and how many types of mind are there. So, firstly, I would like to ask you, Anand, what is exactly the mind? Like everybody know that mind can be a thing which generates logical thinking or kind of reasoning to the human being. Like everybody makes some decisions using their mind, or they just have some thoughts and other kinds of visualizations in their mind. But how did this mind actually works? What do you think?
I think uh, mind is actually a virtual thing. Means in simple language we can say that brain is hardware and mind is our software. Means mind is not physical. It's only a build of our thoughts, emotion, attitudes, memory, and our thinking. And brain is our physical thing that where we process our information of our all the mind. Means mind is not any particular physical thing, it's only a, we can say, psychological thing that defines our thoughts, thinking power, emotions, and our all cognitive load are processed by mind.
So, you said that the all cognitive load is processed by the mind. But how did this whole thing actually works? Like a lot of people just know basic things about the mind. Like there are neurons in our mind which control whole behavior. That there are billions of neurons which are triggered whenever any task or anything is associated by any kind of sense is given to us. Like for example, if you touch something hot, then instantly your nerve cells transmits a signal to your mind that it is hot, you should leave it, otherwise your finger can be fired up or it can be burned. So this is kind of a reaction or the reactive kind of thing which are served by the neurons. And also you said that the cognitive thinking is also part of the mind. So I think that there is majorly the main part is memory. Like our mind can store some memory and our mind can also process some amount of memory. So what do you think? How can we relate this with other kind that a very normal person can also understand?
First, we need to differentiate mind and brain. Means let let's take a real world example. Like I have my CPU of computer and I design a software program for it. So when I upload that software program in that CPU, then whole thing works. Like our brain is a CPU and our mind is that software, means a logic, or we can say what to do, means a mechanism that to think. So our mind stores our all information of our memory, we can say, and we our mind try to relate things with each others. Like in our brain there are neurons that connect things each others, means they are like wiring systems. They are connected to each other and interconnected again and again, that define our habits and patterns. Likewise, the cognitive load I said previously, that is mean the thinking, and that is powered by our brain. And there are different parts in brain like prefrontal cortex or other parts. They are majorly responsible for our thinking power, but the main input is coming from our mind.
What type of input do a person can get? Like we know that there are 5 types of senses from which we can have some kind of input.
Hmm.
And our mind, which are actually a set of neurons or very much a network of neurons which processes those senses input and generates some kind of reaction, or we can say it as an output. So we can just put simply, like you said, that it is a kind of a software. It actually what it does, like it takes input from others, all the senses, and generates some kind of process, and it performs some kind of processing on it, and at the end it generates some kind of result or conclusion which is then reverted back from another senses. Like we can use hand gestures or actions of our hands and legs to do some kind of thing, or we can just use our vocal cords to propagate what we have to say. Like if we are processing some kind of input, then we can transfer it as an output by our vocal thing or our hand gestures or anything like that.
Yes, I would also like to add a point that like we are learning AIML, then human is trying to copy the human brain that he want to do that cognitive thinking by the machine, but human not decode whole the mind actually, because we cannot give emotions to machines and consciousness to machine. That the main difference in artificial brain and uh, real brain. The main thing is emotion and consciousness. Many times some emotions are only captured by our senses, like someone is saying to go there by their eyes, that is, we can say, non-verbal communications, that is only understand by our brain, not by machines mostly. And that five senses give inputs to our brain. Firstly, when we are in childhood, we try to we define everything around us, like this is chair, this is hand, leg. We define everything to our mind, and it get curious for everything he want to know, and then we start connecting things by our own thinking patterns.
Yeah, the same thing happens with the AI also. Like we are just telling the AI what are the real meanings of particular things. Like you say, in the childhood days, we just try to recognize different things with our senses, like how a chair is, how a ball is, how a bat is. Like we are just showing the actual thing to the child to recognize it as a particular name. We do the exact same thing with AI kind of thing. In supervised machine learning, what we do, we just train a model or machine learning model using some kind of inputs. Like we show it images of different things, and we also tell what the image is actually about. So we are telling both in input image and also the description of that image or the name of that image. So by this, a model is able to predict what a name of the image can be, because he has recognized many images, and he is trained on you can say many images, by which he can just guess what the image could be. But the actual guessing algorithm or the actual steps behind how a model can guess is very much complex, that even most uh, computer science, most smartest people could not actually define how a model actually evaluates particular things. So it becomes a black box. Just like our mind is in our, we are researching about our mind, but we are not able to figure out how the actual response is, how we actually think. So it's like the same thing. When we have trained the AI model, or we are just doing some kind of artificial neural networks, we are not able to derive how the AI is actually thinking, but we are able to create that AI. We are not able to express that AI in terms of any equations or mathematical forms. So it is the same thing goes with our brain also, that our brain has lots and lots of wiring or that kind of stuff, which we cannot actually recognize how it actually works on a whole level. We can understand it's working on the smaller levels, like we can understand working of a specific parts of our brain, but we cannot able to uh, actually define whole functionality or working of the brain very much clearly. We are just assuming that certain parts of brain are useful for certain things and certain parts are not. Just like we say that our there are two sides of our brain. One side is a representative of our cognitive thinking, or you can say more later type of thinking, vocal type of thinking, and another part of brain, half part of brain is just a imaginary thinking. It works on images and other kinds of things. So there are two major types of brain as well. One is that is just thinking with a textual based or just kind of vocals, and another is imaginary thinking which generates some visuals in our brain. So mixing those two kind of things, we are not able to actually derive how the functionality is working. We are just predicting that this should be working of a brain.
Yes, as I said previous that in the artificial brain there there will be no emotion and no consciousness, but there is also point that it will not create any type of creativity as the human brain creates. Like our mind is not a limited thing. It is, I think it is connected to universe or any infinite intelligence as described in many books. So when we put data into machine, it will only with uh, predict only the input data. But when our mind start processing, it also get another creativity or any special kind of data that is not defined by our senses or anything we haven't learned, but we get it from universe. I think especially as Nikola Tesla said that if we start watching all the world as a frequency, then there will be very revolutions. Like many many scientists say that our brain have a frequency, and their levels are changed by our uh, mind's growth. So if your brain frequency is uh, high and my brain frequency is low, then we cannot match it. But many times what happens when I want to say something, but you know it before I say it. So our brain frequency are matched, and you know what is in my mind. So this is a real world example, and there are many things or material things that also have frequencies. Only we need to attract them. There are laws like law of attraction or manifestations. So their work like attracting things on their frequency. So we became a huge receivers of that things. So many of also says that energy cannot be destroyed. Like our thought energy is also not destroyed. Uh, it will surround or revolves around us in the form of frequency, and we when we uh, match that frequency of our brain, and that thought will enter in our brain, I think.
Yeah, what you are telling, I know a little bit about it. Like I know the law of attraction, how it works. Like we just attract the things which we want, and by having strong attraction towards things which we want, we are actually able to get those things very much quickly in our life. But I don't know too much about those kind of frequencies. Can you explain more about them?
Yes, let's take an example. Like you start thinking about any person specifically. So when you imagine that person, means your mind is full of that person. You don't think about other anything. You only have that person in your mind, and you start thinking and thinking about it. And when that person want to say something, you know it before. And when, like, in our ancient time, there was a communication by our minds, not verbally. Means many rishis and their students don't speak with each another. They talk by their mind, by transferring their thoughts, by their frequencies matching. Likewise, most of time what happens, we know what the next person want to say, mostly in their after their marriages. Many couples have that kind of thing. They know what the next person want to say. Like in the law of attraction, there also some kind of specific thinking about any thing. Like you are thinking about any specific car, then you start observing that car everywhere. Means you, if you think I want to see only red color, you will only saw red color, and you will avoid all that another colors. Likewise, there are different frequency ranges. Only we need to balance or equalize our mind frequency with each.
Yeah, I like the topic, and also I would like to talk more about the creativity. You said, like the machine cannot just duplicate or replicate the human creativity. Like human is creative, we all know that human can build anything out of nothing. Like his imagination is very high level. If we compare it with other species of animals, human is a very much cognitive thinker, and it has reasoning ability that no other animal has. So, if we just think about it, how actually human brain works, or how the creativity is established in our brain. So, there was a equation given by the Varun Maya, if you know him. Uh, his his equation for creativity was that if something is built, then to make something creative, we have to dislocate, or we can say just make very much parts of one particular thing. We have to disassemble a thing, and then try to reassemble it with unique way or different way. And with this thing, he defines that creativity lies under disassembling and reassembling one particular thing in different way. And what we see in our today's era, like a lot of the AI models, what they actually do, they have been trained on lots and lots of data. And what they actually do is they disassemble this whole data into smaller words, or we say it as a tokens. And then those tokens are reassembled by the user input, and they are reassembled in such a way that it makes some meaningful sentence and even meaningful conversations with humans. So humans just think that they are talking with a real person in front of them, even when the actual output coming by the AI is not human generated. It is a creative thing that is put by the computer. So I would say I will somehow disagree with that. That machine is not creative. Machine can achieve some kind of creativity, and slowly it can also achieve consciousness. I will not say it as a consciousness, but what actually, if we think what a human is, then if uh, concerning only the energy, or any human uses some kind of energy to make himself alive, and also produce some kind of energy to give to the whole world. So if we just remove that thing from human, what human is actually, it is also a kind of AI which can generate things based on previous experiences. If we have one particular child, newborn baby, how he thinks or how he learns a whole world, we just give him lots and lots of input data, or we can say we trigger his all senses. We teach him what actually all the things in the nearby surrounding are, and slowly he tries to recognize all those things, and slowly his mind becomes creative and logical thinking. So this can be same done with AI, can achieve very much human like AI. What do you think?
Yes, there are two things in mathematics like similar and concurrent. Similar means the things that look similar, but it can be larger. Means I have two triangles and their ratio is similar, but their size can be different. But in concurrent, they are both similar. They are both equal in size and ratio. Likewise, the artificial brain and human brain can be similar but not concurrent. I will explain you how. The I agree with you that AI can make some creativity, but it only tries to connect the input information and with connect their input information as the output we give to it. Means if I give any prompt, it will relate some information by its any keyword of name and give to me. Means many times what happens, it doesn't make any sense of the output of AI. So the main thing in AI that AI cannot be think like a human. Means the thinking power is the main part of our mind, we can say. The mind have the ability to think differently by different perspectives, and it can also take knowledge from the universe, we can say. It is connected to universe by frequencies. So many times what happens, there are two type of focus. First is hyper focus and second is scatter focus. So in the hyper focus we learn things, but when the time of scatter focus, when we learn things and we don't think about that thing more, we just go on a walk or start doing some other things, general things, daily activities. Then we try our mind process backward and try to connect all dots, and there will be some kind of creativity generated in our brain. That's lead a very huge difference, we can say. The we can we only connect what already have and what our imagination says, and that both combined together a reality. Like Thomas Alva Edison's imagine that there will be a light bulb that emits light and bright the room. So that imaginations brings uh, innovations, that is important. And also I have example of Walt Disney, that he has imagination of Disney park, and after his death some his managers uh, was there, and one person said that Walt Disney should be allowed to see this Disney park, but that manager said to that guy that he has imagined this all things, hence we have built this thing. So you want to say that the Walt Disney have the virtual visualization of that Disney park, and he have all the basic details in his brain, and he built it. So this was the story. Our brain has no limitation; it goes beyond its limits. We haven't figured out how what is our brain actually and what is its limit. It's like finding a universe which is not also define its limits.
Yeah, I agree with you that our brain is such a complex part which nobody is able to figure out until yet. But slowly we have started recognizing it on a fundamental basis. Like we have recognized that brain works with neurons, and also we have figured out how the architecture of neurons is. Like there are some dendrites or which collects inputs from other neurons and transmits through other neurons through their axons. So this is the basic architecture of any neuron, and it we can consider it as a cell of a human organism, which is able to get input data from another cells and transfer some kind of output information to other cells as well. So this forms a whole network of information or network of cells or neurons which are collectively called as a brain or collectively called as a reasoning asset of our brain. So this actually explains how the brain works. I would also like to talk about memory, how memory is work. Like there can be two types of memory. If we see by the perspective of our computer, then a computer has two types of memory, that is RAM and ROM. ROM can be storage, like it is read-only memory, and one is random access memory. So many people say like our brain is random access memory, like it is for built for processing tasks, not for storing information. Also, the what he Albert Einstein also says that our brain is made for processing the things, not to store them. It is made for generating new ideas, and also uh, like if we see about actual memory, we can define or we can classify it in three parts. Like there is short-term memory, long-term memory, and there is also a kind of uh, mid-term memory, or we can say it as a photogenic memory, by which our senses are only active to a certain point, and after that point we just forget everything about that particular thing. If a person has very much memory of that photogenic memory, and all the other memories kind of limited or missing, then it can serve a different disease or some kind of thing. And also there could be some tricks or tips to improve our memory, both the short term and long term memories. And there are also some teachers who teaches us to store our information in the long term memory, or just move our information stored in short term memory to being stored in long term memory. So this kind of thing can help us on a day to day basis if we apply some kind of things like repetitive learning or continuous learning, again and again active recall. So these kinds of things can help us improve our memory as well, and overall our mind can improve its reasoning and functioning.
Yes, as the Albert Einstein said that our brain is not for storing things; it's for only for a creativity. or creating new unique ideas. So I think storing all the garbage, it's not valuable. Storing only valuable things, like if you have any career in any specific field, then you should only store that specific knowledge about that field, not storing every general knowledge. Our brain stores some kind of limited knowledge which are interconnected to each others, like our brains connect dots with different knowledge, and then creativity creates. Likewise, there are main two parts of mind. First is subconscious and second is conscious. Conscious, we can say, a temporary type memory, and where we can do all basic calculations or logics. And subconscious is a deep part of our mind, where the all your habit stores and all your, we can say, character is stored. Means many times what happens, if someone's have any character or some repetitive things, like someone behavior is different, so that behavior is stored in subconscious. So many things are stored in conscious also, like any temporary things, like you study any specific subject, that is stored in your conscious. And there are also techniques to uh, put things in our subconscious brain, which is, we can say, auto suggestion. Auto suggestion is telling ourselves repetitively in a day about any specific things. Like if you want any desire to set in your subconscious mind, then you repetitively read it aloud in front of mirror in twice a day, and that habit for we can say for 15 days or a month, that creates uh, that thing in your subconscious mind gets fitted. You will never forget until you die. Many people do it for creating a burning desire. Means when that desire go into subconscious mind, that will remind you that you have this desire and you have to do it at any cost.
Yeah. So now uh, I would like to end this podcast. I hope listeners have gained some knowledge out of it. So I would also like to recommend some books to read to the listeners. There is one good book which you can read to improve your mind, or you can say mental thinking ability. It is called as Think and Grow Rich. And also, Anand, do you have any recommendations?
Yes, there is book of called The Power of Subconscious Mind. That is also a great book.
Okay, so now I think we should end. See you guys in the next video. Hope you gain some knowledge out of it. Bye bye. See ya.